potable system to really promote strong cross-collaboration throughout LA County. And so when people think of infrastructure, they mostly think of roads or bridges and not much else. But with your leadership, Supervisor Mitchell, and the partnership with the trades and with Mark Public Works and other county departments, we're really helping people understand that infrastructure is transformational. It's the built environment and more. And as Mark was saying, we're expanding what it means to build, right? It means to build communities by high-paying jobs, quality jobs. We're proud of our partnership with project labor agreements on all of our construction projects that have really transformed tens of thousands of lives and opportunities through our partnership with the building trades. It's about transforming small businesses, allowing small businesses to grow, underutilized businesses to have opportunities, minority-owned businesses. And at Metro, we're trying to do our share. Through our capital program, we have over 55 projects under construction right now, valued at over $21 billion. They range from rail projects, bus rapid transit projects, active transportation, which are our bicycle lane, sidewalk projects. And one of the projects I want to lift up is the collaboration with the county on in the supervisor's district, on rail to rail, which will be a transformative project for the community and is only made possible through the partnership with the county. We're able to remove blight from the neighborhood, have green streets, green infrastructure, wide sidewalks, safe passageways for the neighborhood in an area that also has a high injury network. It's those types of collaborations with Infrastructure LA where we can do more for communities within the 2nd District as well as throughout LA County. We are really focusing on how we can bring more equity to these high-need communities. And I'm just grateful to be here because we have a number of projects. The supervisor has us busy in her district. Not only with rail to rail, we have the Vermont Transit Corridor project. We have the collaboration, truly unique transformative collaboration with the Seed School and the Affordable Housing and the Workforce Training Center that is all going to be a part of revitalizing the Vermont-Manchester corridor. And of course, even today, since a number of the residents of the 2nd District actually are my customers, transit riders, we're working on providing better quality, safer, more frequent, and reliable transit service in the district. So I'm just proud to be here as a partner. Please hold us accountable. We have an incredible opportunity with the federal infrastructure law that's been passed. I was just talking to Pastor Pat about a street safety opportunity, Mark, that we should partner on with the community. There's $5 billion that the federal government has put on the table for street safety and working with communities. So my pledge to you, Supervisor Mitchell, is to continue to be an active, accountable partner in advancing equity and transformation for LA County. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I mentioned that this was a once-in-a-generation federal investment. You know, the last time the federal government invested anywhere close to this amount of money was over 70 years ago when we saw the expansion of freeways across our country. And many of us in this community understand the unintended, perhaps, maybe it was intended, unintended consequence of the construction of those freeways, which divided communities, which, you know, through eminent domain, Black, brown, underrepresented communities lost home ownership, and it created huge physical divisions in our community. So when you know better, you do better, as Maya Angelou says. So with this investment, with our focus on equity, we're not going to make those same historic mistakes. We're going to build infrastructure in collaboration with community to benefit all communities so we can close that divide between the finished communities and the unfinished communities. Next up, we have the pleasure of hearing from another one of my bosses, Norma Garcia Gonzalez, Director of LA County Parks and Rec.
Now, we know that's a myth, right? Good morning and welcome to Colonel Washington Park here in Florence-Firestone. I'm very excited to be here and to join in celebrating Infrastructure Week. Most importantly, because for the first time, parks, open space, and our environment is included in Infrastructure Week. So Supervisor, thank you to you for lifting up parks as infrastructure. And we've all known that parks are the center of community. Parks create well-being for everyday people who struggle and who thrive, who get to work, to go to school, but they come together at parks. I want to mention that the Robert Johnson Wood Foundation did a study that was based on our park needs assessment, linking the lack of green space and parks and trees to life expectancy. That is extremely profound in a community like Florence-Firestone, when 51% of its children, of its community members and seniors do not have access to a park within walking distance. There is a crisis, an unfinished crisis in Florence-Firestone. I'm honored because the voters of Los Angeles County have entrusted the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Regional Park and Open Space District, the first infrastructure measure that led the way, focused on equity to make park investments in Los Angeles County. And so to the federal government, we've been more than ready and have been waiting for this to really come down and partner and leverage park dollars. We've created a park needs assessment that is focused on equity and making sure that our priorities, our focus and our dollars and our investments are prioritized in our highest need communities. And to showcase, just 2 miles from this park, we've been working on this project for several years, but we've entered into agreement with DWP, who is a utility company here, and we will be creating a linear park, 5.5 acres, with Measure A dollars and state dollars. But we are ready, and these types of projects can be replicated throughout, and specifically in South LA and the 2nd Supervisorial District, where the need is extreme, and as I mentioned, in a crisis mode. I also want to mention that parks not only just connect community life, but they increase well-being. And in the time of COVID, we've seen this tremendous rationale and awakening of parks. Here at this park, we had a voting center. This was a vaccine site. This was a testing site. When children did not have access to their schools, children were coming here and using Wi-Fi to connect to their classes. Here, we provided senior programming and senior lunches. So this essential infrastructure really helps to promote well-being. And what I'm so excited about is that for the first time, parks are included in that. So thank you, Supervisor. Thank you for having us, and we're ready to build more parks throughout Los Angeles County.
I appreciate you. And you all are my bosses, because I can't deliver to my constituents unless you all do the work. So I'm clear about the relationship. I am not being facetious at all. I am crystal clear. Another boss of mine, Selwyn Hawkins, Director of LA County Department of Internal Services, ISD, as we affectionately call it. Thank you, Mr. Hollins.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and as my peers have said, we know who the real boss is. So I'm not going to even go there, but I do appreciate that, because at home they do not call me the boss. So I'll take that little moment. I'd just like to briefly speak on 2 areas of infrastructure, specifically broadband internet access and electric vehicles charging stations, both of which address equity and quality of life. First, we have to talk about broadband. The internet has become essential to everyday life. The internet is needed to access education, healthcare services, employment opportunities, banking and financial resources, support groups and networks, and nowadays, even watching television and using the telephone. But in Los Angeles County, it is estimated that more than 365,000 households lack internet service. In fact, within a 2-mile radius of this very location, there are over 11,000 households that don't have internet. The new infrastructure funding provides $64 billion towards digital equity. LA County will be pursuing our fair share of this funding, which is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And we intend to use this money to enhance broadband service in these unfinished neighborhoods. In November of last year, the LA County Board of Supervisors approved a motion to accelerate digital equity in communities that are the most impacted by the digital divide. This motion contains several initiatives, including the creation of community wireless networks to deliver reliable, high-speed internet to thousands of households. As we stand before you today, the county is in the final stages of establishing public-private partnerships to implement and manage community wireless networks. And the goal is to provide this internet service free to qualifying households or at extremely low cost. Several project areas have already been identified, and implementation could potentially begin as early as this fall, which means by this fall, thousands of households that don't currently have internet will have access to internet. The second infrastructure area that I want to touch on addresses equity and quality of life as it relates to the environment. Vehicle emissions have taken its toll on many communities, and long-term exposure to emissions have had detrimental impacts on health. And many of our unfinished neighborhoods are particularly hit hard by this. The infrastructure funding provides for investments in clean energy. The county will be pursuing funding for many clean energy projects, including the expansion of electrical vehicle charging stations. Our plan is to install thousands of charging stations, but especially in unfinished neighborhoods that lack an EV infrastructure. The build-out of charging stations will support emission reduction, better air quality, better health results, and help to incentivize people to transition from gas vehicles to electric vehicles. I appreciate the opportunity to preview a few of our county efforts, particularly in the area of broadband infrastructure, broadband internet access, and electric vehicle charging stations. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the supreme boss of all bosses, Chair Holly Mitchell.
That's funny. When we talk about infrastructure, we know that it's critical that there are men and women who are trained, who have the opportunity to do the work of infrastructure. So I'm pleased to have with us today Chris Hannon from the LA and Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Supervisor. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here on behalf of 140,000 of the best trained men and women in the construction industry. I think by the group of speakers that we've already had here this morning, I think you could see that Los Angeles County is ready to deliver on infrastructure. And although the supervisor welcomed everybody for Infrastructure Week, and we're celebrating Infrastructure Week at the building trades, it's always Infrastructure Week. The problem has been that outside of the people of Los Angeles who have stepped up time and time again to pass tax measures to fund transportation, to fund parks, to fund water projects, many times talk at the federal level has been only talk. From the building trades, we want to congratulate the Biden administration for not only talking about infrastructure, but for finally delivering on infrastructure. H.R. 3684, sometimes known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, is going to provide funding that's going to leverage our local funding, leverage the power of the departments here that are ready to collaborate throughout Los Angeles. And we're going to deliver on transportation projects that not only connect people to prosperity, but also connect friendships and connect recreation for healthy communities. And LA Metro has really been a big driver in our building trade success. The project labor agreement that CEO Wiggins mentioned has been one of the reasons why our Building Trades Council, that just covers 2 counties, actually has more apprentices, just union construction apprentices, than any other state in the country. And because Los Angeles County and the cities within Los Angeles counties, including education, water districts, because they've shared some of those goals with LA Metro and LA County and City of Los Angeles. The County of Los Angeles, now we have approximately 18,000 apprentices that live here in the County of Los Angeles. Apprentices that are training for their career to deliver infrastructure that not only brings prosperity, but improves the quality of life, delivers safe drinking water, healthy communities with open space and clean energy. So on behalf of all 140,000 members of the building trades and our local community partners like Los Angeles Southwest College, where you can go find out about one of the 27 different apprenticeship programs in the building trades, who are taking applicants every single day and every week and every year to deliver this infrastructure. We're recruiting from diverse communities. We're including the justice involved. We're reaching out to veterans, and we want to build healthy communities by the community, and that's what our Building Trades Council and our local unions stand for. So I want to, again, if you notice, I wasn't referred to as a boss up here, but we sure are proud, Supervisor Mitchell, to be referred to as a partner. And we will look forward to being a partner for many generations to come. Thank you.
We all know that you are a labor boss, Chris. So that went without saying. We know that you run things, LA and Orange County. Next up, and thank you for the partnership. Next up, Mia Martinez from Juntos Flores Firestone Together, who is here representing our neighborhood community that we're pleased to be hosted in today. Mia.
Good morning. So as a community member here, I'm also a member of the Juntos Florence Firestone Together. We are a local grassroots group here in the Incorporated Florence Firestone. I want to thank Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell for inviting myself and community members and for centering the conversation on addressing infrastructure needs in an equitable way. Juntos was born out of the necessity to involve community input into LA County projects. We seek to organize and participate in the community projects that are coming to Florence Firestone. Okay. Thank you. Florence Firestone has been historically neglected, and when it comes to infrastructure, the impact of this has been felt by the residents who have witnessed and experienced accidents firsthand. This is evident in the statistics about pedestrian and/or traffic injuries and deaths, and in our built environment itself. Infrastructure improvements are much needed. However, we also need to be intentional that the investment serves residents who have been living here for decades and that their needs are met. Members of our group are part of the Community Advisory Committee for the Department of Public Health's Pedestrian Plan, have actively provided input on Regional Planning's Transit-Oriented District-Specific Plan, and Metro Area Plan, among many more. We successfully advocated for funding for a historic resource survey and parking study for the Florence Firestone. Community voices are needed in projects like these, and not just passively, but ensuring concerns are actually accounted for. We look forward to continued collaboration with Supervisor Mitchell's office, and we hope that we can energize and engage more Florence Firestone residents in infrastructure projects. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. We, in our effort to make sure that every community member is involved and included, Bella Hernandez is going to provide some remarks in Spanish, because I am not able to do so. So thank you, Bella. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Muy buenos días. Mi nombre es Bella Hernández, del Departamento de Obras Públicas del Condado de Los Ángeles, y mi jefe directo está sentado aquí a mano derecha. My boss. Para resumir en pocas palabras lo que se dijo hoy en la mesa, básicamente tenemos la oportunidad única de trabajar juntos, de traer proyectos a las comunidades que por mucho tiempo han sido dejadas en el olvido, para poder apoyar y traer proyectos que beneficien a todas las comunidades conjuntas. Estamos abriendo la charla con todas las ciudades, 88 ciudades en el condado, con las más de 125 comunidades no incorporadas como Florence-Firestone, para que vengan y participen con el condado de Los Ángeles y podamos llevar proyectos que son beneficiarios para toda la comunidad, especialmente para las comunidades que quedaron a medias, que no han sido terminadas, que empezaron pero que no terminaron los proyectos. Aquí estamos diciéndoles, trabajemos juntos, el dinero ya está a la vista, ahora nada más necesitamos traer esos proyectos que vayan a beneficiar a las comunidades. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Appreciate you. So, we are open to questions from the media. We're going to have someone, I think, from Public Works staff to lead the Q&A. If not, we can. Oh, here he comes. Come on up. And before the media leaves, we'll do a quick photo op. I'm just going to stand next to it. I won't try to operate it today. Yeah, Chris. Not today. So after we take the Q&As, we'll take a quick picture. And there's some additional agencies and leaders here in the audience that we want to make sure that we acknowledge their presence. So I'll turn it over.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. So I know we have KNX 1070 here and maybe a few other reporters as well. We can do one-on-ones, or if you prefer just to go ahead and ask the panel any questions right now, we can do that as well. Sure. And the question is, can someone from the panel talk about data-driven approach to investing in the unfinished communities? Director?
Well, I'd love to have Dr. Scorza answer that question. Yeah, and I'm going to bring my partner up here, Dr. Scorza, from our Office of Equity. We're going to use data to identify those communities in most need. I'm going to have Dr. Scorza talk about it. He's working with me on an infrastructure, equity and infrastructure lens for LA County, which will be applied to all of the work we do, including our budgets on an annual basis. But you can explain this very well.
Director Pestrella, thank you so much. I'm D'Artagnan Scorza, so I lead the county's Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiative. So in the simplest possible terms, the way to think about it is there are communities that have bike lanes, there are communities that don't have bike lanes. We want to know which communities have bike lanes and which ones that do not. And we want to put bike lanes where there are none. There are communities that have schools and others that don't. So we know these things, right? We know where infrastructure is. We're going to use that information to help inform where we put new projects and where we make those investments. You got it. We're finishing unfinished communities. That's right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Test.
Yeah, just the initiative and how it's been broadened out now.
Okay. Yeah, Infrastructure LA, we've been growing that idea for some time in Los Angeles, as you know, and LA County's been taking the lead in facilitating a cooperative amongst all of the major agencies and cities in the county that have anything to do with infrastructure. We broadened out the focus, we've got more focus, I'd say, on a specific sector, and that is getting our fair share of the BIL for LA County. So we're currently working on a specific initiative within Infrastructure LA, which will coordinate the county's infrastructure agencies, compare notes with each other essentially on that data we just talked about, and put together a robust of projects that we can get endorsed by our Board of Supervisors, endorsed by the agencies, and then lobby together as one county, as one community, rather than go separately to the federal government and make a single request across. This way we feel we're going to get the smartest infrastructure, most integrated of systems infrastructure, because infrastructure doesn't stand alone in a silo. It's all integrated with itself, a system within system, if you will. So it's almost a sin these days to build anything that doesn't have more than one purpose. You look at what happened with the LA River. Originally, it was built to maintain the economy, to make safe the railroad system and make goods movement easy. That system was built for one essential purpose, flood protection. It's the damage and unintended consequences of the LA River are well documented. And Supervisor mentioned one of them, the separation of cultures. And so what we seek to do with this new effort and this one-time money is actually look at that, look at the provisions of the Act, but also look at all the agencies, what they're doing, and come across with infrastructure that addresses equity, addresses sustainability, resilience, and includes the community when we design it and doesn't just prescribe what we're going to do with the community. Can't do that alone. The problem is when each agency does their own thing, unintentionally they're building things that aren't really serving the community the best way they could. What we're finding out by interacting is it's just knowing each other's business and the narrative across each business. We've been able to produce projects that are much more beneficial, as I said, to community. Stephanie mentioned the project Rail to Rail. The other one, the park project that Norma mentioned, is another case. Just not building anything for single purpose any longer. And again, you can't do that without an entity like Infrastructure LA that's putting the group together and communicating with each other before we make the decision on what to build.
Great answer. Great answer.
Thank you, Supervisor. I think we're done with questions. We'll take you right over here for a quick photo op after your remarks.
Okay, so everyone can go ahead and line up. Just keep a space for me there by the big backhoe. We just want to thank all of our partners for joining us today to demonstrate the county's strength and unity around delivering equitable and sustainable investments to our community. So we want to thank all of those you heard from today. Director Pastrella, CEO Wiggins, Director Hollins, Chris Hannon, representing the 140,000 men and women of the building trades from Orange and LA County, Maria Martinez from Juntos, Ms. Hernandez. We also want to thank several other agencies and partners who you didn't hear from today, but we want to thank the LA County Public Health, the PLACE program. You heard from Dr. Scores, representing the Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiative within LA County. We want to thank the LA County Chief Sustainability Office, Faith for Safe Streets, and many, many others. So thank you all for coming. Let's get ready to take our picture.